Hey everybody, Jake Reichbart here. Today I'm going to share with you a lengthy lesson excerpt. So have your guitars ready and we're going to have some fun together arranging a song. Perhaps you've seen some of my many hundreds of solo guitar arrangements I have here on YouTube, and the inspiration for these arrangements is right here behind me, as you can see. I grew up with these vinyls, and I draw pretty much from any kind of style imaginable from the pop music of the past 100 years, everything from Glenn Miller to Van Halen, Alan Holdsworth to Motown, and pretty much anything in between. Beatles, I have perhaps 25 Beatles song arrangements, 20 Steely Dan song arrangements, same for Stevie Wonder, rock, hard rock, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and of course tons and tons of classic jazz standards from the 40s and 50s, bebop, dance tunes, movie themes. And if you want to learn how to arrange any of these songs for solo guitar, I can teach you. Just like the excerpt that you're about to watch, which comes from a lesson that runs about 90 minutes, I have nearly 200 additional titles, and they are mostly song specific. I enjoy teaching through specific songs because I can show you hands-on how I approach arranging a song. What's nice about these lessons is that I don't just tell you, do this and you're done, but rather I'll take you through 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to play the same passage. I'll work with you on dynamics, on articulation, and 100 other things that you cannot just put to paper. As I mentioned, these lessons run approximately 90 minutes. The introduction, which runs usually 15 minutes, focuses on the right hand and rhythm, and in this introduction I go through my 3 pillars of rhythmic arranging, the first principle being melody and bass only, the second being rhythmic arpeggiation, and the third, of course, the down stroke that I play with my right hand fingernails to produce that backbeat that everybody asks me about. Nevertheless, I do have 2 main method lessons. The first one, how to arrange any song for solo guitar, running 2 hours, and also an introduction to fingerstyle guitar and solo guitar arranging, running 2 hours and 40 minutes. The information about these lessons, the cost, my full lesson list, as well as a link to the full performance of the song that we're working on today is below in the information. So expand the information, take a look, and let's get started. The song starts, of course, with that very famous bass and drum movement. And in keeping with the idea that I don't try to really transcribe exactly what the recording was, but kind of to approximate it so it's recognizable enough, I basically play the bass pattern, which is an A to F sharp and back on the bottom string frets 5 and 2, and along with it an octave. This A against the A an octave higher, which is on the 4th string 2 frets higher, and they're parallel. And the way I play them is the low note basically tries to emulate the and then with a high note I kind of snap it with my first finger, kind of pull it out a little bit, and that's syncopated to the downbeat, which follows just a 16th later. And that is the downbeat, or the backbeat, I should say. And the other thing that I do a couple of things here. I guess intuitively, without, again, too much thought put into it, I try to emulate the hi-hat, that by playing additional notes, some of them muted or ghost notes, in that underlying 16th note feel. I might do so with my first finger as if it were a pick. I might do that with a muted note. Sometimes in a live situation, I might stretch out this section I'll play. Kind of improvise on it a little bit just to stretch things out. Why not, after all? But anyway, that is the basic movement right there, and it corresponds in essence to the A11, A suspended, or G over A, however you want to call this chord, to the F sharp minor 7. As a matter of a little bit of theory and the harmony as it's played, it's worth mentioning that these two chords and much of the progression borrows from the key of D, because this chord, which is a kind of a A7, although it doesn't sound like an A7, is the 5 chord, and what would it be 5 of is the 5 of D, and therefore the F sharp is the 3. And why is this important? Because there's going to be improvisation later on in the song, or there could be improvisation. Sometimes I might play an improvisation on a verse, and I might want to know what key or what scale to borrow notes from for improvisation. Moving on to the next section, in fact, you will play these two chords with a little guitar melody. Now I'm shifting position, as I showed in the introduction. I'm playing the middle 4 strings open, and if I can, I'll get that movement. It's a little bit tricky because you have to be careful not to let the strings see with the finger when you're fretting something. You can control the length of the sustain by pressing and releasing, and it's a little bit harder to do when you have an open string, but I try to lay down my right hand fingers So what are those notes? As before, I'm alternating the A and E bass notes, and what I try to do, as much as possible, not to let them ring together too much. And so even with the thumb or the heel of my palm, I'll try to mute whatever note I don't want ringing. And then the melody note starts with the top 2 of this shape, which are the open G and B, and then I add the notes A, C sharp with my first finger on the 2nd fret. These are parallel thirds. Moving up to the next pair of notes, which are B now on the 3rd string, D 2nd string, slide up 2 frets. Now I'll be playing C sharp and E. All parallel thirds in the key of D. If I went one more up here, I'd reach my chord D, but of course we're not going to do that. So I played those 4 pairs of notes before going to the next chord. But let me sum this up. While letting the A sustain, because that's the bass note, shape is very simple to play, I suppose. It's just a bar across all the strings on the 2nd fret. I don't play all of those with my right hand. It is an F sharp minor 7, and I get the bass and the notes on strings 4, 3, and 2, and the inside melody that I hear is just C sharp and the A. And then I add the C sharp, if I wanted to, as a bass note, as an alternating bass note. So put together, that second time is a little bit different. I'll get to that in a second. Just wanted to give you a sense of how these two chords are put together. And here's that little arpeggiation that I mentioned in the introduction that helps accentuate the 16th note feel. Second time, I only play 3 notes, the F sharp, the E, and the A. Make a quick slide up to the C sharp from the B on the 3rd string with my pinky, and come to rest on this shape, which is just 3 notes, and one of them is doubled, in fact. It's just B, F sharp, and B again. Frets 2, 4, 4, strings 5, 4, 3. I could have played a fuller chord like that. I don't think it sounds right. That more simple sound, I think, is more correct for what's happening at that moment. There will be plenty bigger chords later on in the song, so this voicing satisfies me anyway. By the way, just to make a reference again to the key change, let me just show you what this would have looked like if I'd stayed in the original key, or in the key that I performed originally on YouTube. I'm not bothering so much with that. I'm not really doing it at all because I don't have the A sustain, so I'm kind of faking it in a different way. This sounds fuller and more interesting to me, so. But then when I go to the G minor, it's exactly the same as I've done to the F sharp minor. Identical to what I showed you in the other key, except that this one has a little bit more, sounds a little bit better to me. That's the first part, or the first half of the introduction. Now it proceeds to play the very same progression somewhat differently. What happens is that the melody moves up a third in the scale. Instead of playing that being the lead note, now my lead note is, and I play it a little bit differently now. This is the A7 that I mentioned, which you can also describe as a G over A. Here's a G triad, and here's an A bass note. The other way to play it, or the next way which I will play it, is transferring this G triad to here. And I'm playing G, B, D, simple triad shape on strings 4, 3, 2, frets 5, 4, 3, still with open A. And you can still do that alternating bass. now I achieve the same movement. If I was going to be very consistent, I would try to play something like that. You know, I'm not. This is the first shape that came to me, so I stuck with it. It sounds good enough. What I do here is play this triad with the pinky. I add the E on the second string, then let go of my first finger, which is no longer needed on the second string, and transfer to the first string where it plays an F sharp and G on string number 1, frets 2 and 3. I could also do, in this case I would be playing the triad with fingers 4, 3 and 2, and then I would be playing the melody notes D, open E, add F sharp, and slide it to G. Same difference. I might do the one, might do the other, might do both in the course of the very same performance. Or when I get to the F sharp, I do the same thing. The melody is now a third higher than the first part, so instead of it's, so I still play that bar shape of F sharp minor 7, and with my pinky I add the E on the second string, release it to the C sharp, together. Same principle exactly. Before it was. Now the melody's a third higher, so F sharp with E, release to C sharp, back to E. I slide it kind of to give it a little bit more character. And that last chord is a C sharp minor 7 with the D in the melody. It is a simple bar shape on the second fret, and the notes are C sharp, excuse me, B, F sharp, A, and D. I'll put the entire intro together for you right now, from the very top.